So here I was doing the kind of parish ministry that I had been trained to do, and it wasn't working. I was working as hard as I knew how to do, and I wasn't connecting. And I found out from talking to members of my family who are all professional writers, writing 6 to 8 hours a day and working another 4 to 6 on their craft, that every week I was producing more words than they were, and I had nothing to show for it. I wasn't making the kinds of connection with the community that I needed to be. And I had been aware that there was this thing called social media and that people were using it. And I knew there was the blogosphere. And I was really turned off by some of what I was reading in the Unitarian Universalist blogosphere because it was, frankly, pretty negative and critical. And then I saw Peter Moden's blog, and I realized that there were other people out there who were blogging about positive ways that we can live faithfully and how our faith can make an impact in the world. And that was a revelation for me. Once I understood that was powerful, I was willing to take a bunch of risks. I started with cultivating a daily inspirational text message, and it was a total failure, other than the people who subscribed to it, who enjoyed it and appreciated it. But it was a failure in terms of it took an amount of energy to cultivate that list because I had to keep track of all the numbers on the people who had subscribed. I didn't have a single system I could use for it. I then had to construct the piece every day and send it out. And then I had to remove people from the list if they didn't like it or if they had run out of minutes on their texting, the number of texts that they could have. So that wasn't working. And a good friend of mine who was a librarian and very social media savvy, Mimi Davis, introduced me to Twitter. And I realized, it works like text messages. It comes to people's cell phones. It's got the same SMS character limitation. But people follow me and I follow them back. I don't have to actually maintain that list. So it freed me to begin to do the inspirational text messaging that I was doing, which eventually changed into a daily chalice light and chalice out, chalice extinguishing. Those are the hashtags. Because on Twitter, if you want to have a conversation, you have to give what you're saying a hashtag. It's a hash mark with a phrase right after it. It's all run together, or a word, or a set of characters. And it allows anybody to click that, pull it down, and engage in, see the whole path of conversation that's around that. So if you click chalice light, then you can see all these other chalice lightings that people have offered and the times that they've offered them and go through that. So learning that there was this magical thing called Twitter and that it was possible to do positive blogging led me into both Twitter and the blogosphere with my daily prayer blog and a blog called The Wonderment, where I was really focusing on affirmative living in difficult times. How do we have a faith that makes a difference when we're all so afraid, we're all overwhelmed? So many of us are dealing with chronic illness or with other barriers. And that's where I got involved in social media. And then I had this gift of an amazing faith development director coming to the congregation by the name of Skylar Vogel. And Skylar introduced me to Facebook and what Facebook could do in terms of connecting people who were looking for deeper places to share, more of a sense of friends, doing a little bit what I would call medium form blogging as opposed to the very short condensed phrases of Twitter. And we learned about congregational Facebook pages and Facebook groups. And as I kept working with Peter Bowden, the labs came online, and that really enlivened a whole new way of doing social media there. And then as I was working in Twitter more and engaging in more conversations, thanks to people like Tim Atkins and Thomas Earthman, who insisted on teaching me that Twitter was conversational and that a huge role of being a faith leader today, a religious leader of any kind, is to be a connector. And if you're not connecting, if you're only broadcasting, then you're not actually reaching people by and large. There are a few people like the Dalai Lama who get to do that, but for most of the rest of us schmoes, it's really about that interpersonal connection, and the trust that develops out of that makes it possible. And I soon was discovering that I was doing more pastoral care through Twitter connections. I was doing more thinking about blogging, more crowdsourcing of topics and information around sermons and faith development. And it just changed how I had to be the expert to taking what I knew about theology and helping people shape that in their world so that I was staying more relevant and connected with people. Now today, I would be hard-pressed to serve a parish because of the disabilities that I've developed and the weakness I have in limited energy, but I still have an effective ministry with all these other wonderful people who are doing ministry, many of them laity, because of social media. It's an adaptive, assistive technology for ministry.